What's up, everybody? It's Gunny here from Gunny's Gaming, and today we're going to talk about Star Wars Battlefront II 9 months after the launch. Star Wars Battlefront. It's changed. Star Wars Battlefront 2 is not the same game that it was 9 months ago when it released in November of 2017 to a crazy backlash against the loot box scandal. What we could call it loot box gate if we were mainstream media. But EA has changed the game, and it is very different today than it was 9 months ago. And let's talk about if those changes have made up for the mistakes the EA made in the beginning and have been making since they obtained the Star Wars license for making their video games. So, EA Battlefront 2 is different in that we have a whole revamped leveling system since the game came out. There's no longer loot boxes in the game that are tied to progression in any way. They're only aesthetics now, only for skins and things for the characters. So what I want to say about this is that why did it take them so long? I think it was until March? It must have been around March when EA finally revamped this. It was almost 4 months after the game had already launched, and in my honest opinion, it was too little, too late. I had played the game back in December after it had first come out, and I enjoyed it for a small time until the grind got really old. I was really tired of having to work so hard to earn things that should have already been part of the game to begin with. And but that's changed. It's changed now. Leveling has more to do with which character you play is which character you level. So if I'm playing with the Assault class, I'm leveling up the Assault class. If I'm playing as Darth Vader, I'm leveling up Darth Vader. And so it comes down to playing the game in order to level these characters. You don't get cards randomly from loot boxes that you buy, whether it's with in-game credit or whether it's you spent money to buy crystals to buy those in-game loot boxes. So that's gone. And I really like the new leveling system. I think it's great. It's what the game should have been to begin with. And I hope EA has learned their lesson. So what else is different about the game? Well, we had new modes that came to the game. Ewok Hunt, which was a limited edition, which a lot of people liked and enjoyed, which I'm glad they came back as a permanent mode. I honestly don't understand why any game developer would put out a limited edition mode. Because they spend all this hard work and time creating this mode for the game and then just to remove it later on. And that just seems totally ineffective. So I'm glad they brought the game back permanently because a lot of people liked it, that game mode, Ewok Hunt. Me personally, I thought it was okay. It wasn't anything to really bring me back to playing the game a whole lot. And then another mode that they've added was the jetpack cargo. They simplified some modes. So the game looks good. It has made a lot of improvements that way. Loot boxes are gone. We got the content from Solo. We got Kessel as a map. We got young Han. We got Lando's Millennium Falcon. And all this stuff, which is some great content, but it took them a long time to get there, and I think the wind behind the game was already lost. So some players are coming back to the game, which is kind of understandable, and I'm glad that they are in a small amount, because it shows EA that when they do make these changes, that people will come back to the game. But also, let's talk about this. Has EA learned their lesson about their predatory techniques in the game, in their games they produce with the loot boxes? Short term, I think yes, they have learned their lesson. We know that they're taking loot boxes out of Anthem, and Battlefield 5 won't have any loot boxes that are tied to progression. I do believe that they will have aesthetic loot boxes. But I think long term, I don't think EA's learned their lesson at all yet. I think they're just going to try and sneak this back in the future. And I hope this company really hurts, because I think EA is such a sad waste, because they have all this potential to create and make great games, but they just squander it away with these stupid scandals from one thing to the next. They're always cheaping out on their customers, and they just have this potential with how broad their company is to create some fantastic, beautiful games, but they just don't do it because they have this management that is greedy and anti-consumer, and they only care about the money, and that's a problem. But we see now that some of the people from EA are leaving the company, they're jumping ship. And it's an interesting time to do that, because I think from this moment forward is when EA's really going to start taking the big hit. And this is going to be long term. I don't think we as consumers should forget what EA's done. And they need to know that it's not okay to keep trying to do this. So be wary and watch EA and see what they do. But me personally, I'm not buying another EA game until I know for sure that this isn't going to happen anymore. And honestly, the more content I see about Anthem, I feel a little bit less interested in the game, because, well, for one, they haven't even shown us very much. We don't have too much of a storyline, and I think this game is already kind of jacked up, because they were planning to originally have that game set up and run like Battlefront 2 was, with loot boxes tied into the game. And so they're having to rework that. I think that's part of why the release date got pushed again. So we need to be wary, and we need to watch for that. Now, an outlook for Star Wars Battlefront 2, there will be Clone Wars content that will be added. There will be new heroes and new villains. Obi-Wan Kenobi will be added, as well as Anakin Skywalker, and then General Grievous and Count Dooku will be added, as well as new skins for the clone troopers, which can be purchased with the in-game credits that are earned through playing the game, and can also be purchased through loot boxes so that you can pay those. A new map for Geonosis is coming to the game, which I think should be pretty good and interesting content. I hope they do a good job. The OG Battlefront, the very first one that came out, the Geonosis map was amazing. It was awesome. I really enjoyed it. So I hope they do a good job and make a good Geonosis. And they're also planning on producing a new large mode for the game, something along the lines of Galactic Assault. So we'll have to see what happens there too. But I still feel like EA has already kind of given up on this game. Sure, they're putting out some content, but it's not a lot. It's not too significant. It's just enough to keep players who are already invested in the game to keep playing. It's nothing about bringing players back to the game. And I just want to make this comparison real fast of for example, No Man's Sky was a huge disappointment, right? It wasn't the scandal with loot boxes and things like that, but rather the game just didn't live up to its promises. But I totally respect Hello Games and Sean Murray for making that game into something better, especially with the No Man's Sky Next update that just launched. There's some good stuff that have come from the game. It's got some good reviews. It's worth going back and checking out. But EA, I feel like they just give up on their games. Oh, this isn't a success, so we'll forget about it. And that's kind of what happened with the original Battlefront, EA Battlefront, and it's what has happened with Battlefront II. They're still creating some content, but I don't see a whole lot of effort going into that game anymore. Now for the verdict. Is this game worth it today? Is it a game that's worth playing 9 months after it launched? And the answer, I have to say, is yes, it's worth it, but get it dirt cheap. This is something that's in the bargain bins now. It's something that you can find for half price or less. I say don't spend any more than $30 on this game. It's a decent game. It's not what it should have been, but it's still fun, and it's still, the graphics are pretty impressive. It is a pretty and beautiful game, and has some solid gameplay mechanics that are worth checking out. Especially if you're a Star Wars fan, I say yeah, get this game, but don't get it for anything more than $30. And you can find it cheap, and I've seen it on sale all over the place. In fact, I think right now you can get it on PlayStation's Blockbuster deal on the PlayStation Network, so check that out. And let me know what you think. Tell me what you think about EA. Tell me what you think about their practices and what this is doing to hurt the community as a whole and other developers. And what's the solution here? Is it to continue to call EA out for their BS? Because that's what I plan on doing. I plan to not give EA the time of day until they really show that they fix things, till the management there has changed. And I really feel bad for the employees. I feel bad for DICE, the people who create the games, because I think they have a lot of skill and a lot of talent, but just the management direction is not where it should be. The corporate CEOs and executives, they don't know what they're doing, and they're in it for the money. But anyway, let me know what you think. Tell me in the comments down below. If you enjoy this content, like this video, subscribe to my channel. I do analysis, I do Fallout 4, I do Skyrim, I do a lot of Bethesda Game Studios game. I'm doing some huge coverage on Fallout 76. I also do a lot of Star Wars games and reviews, so we'll see what happens. Stay tuned here. We may have an update again about EA Battlefront after all the Clone Wars DLC has come out. And thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate this. Make sure to share with your friends and hit that notification icon. That's what it's called. And see what other kind of content I have coming out. And this is Gunny from Gunny's Gaming, and I'm signing out.